we welcome you to the Priscilla R. Tyson Cultural Arts Center for our Conversations and Coffee today on this 25th day of July, 2024. I'm Ellen O'Shaughnessy, coordinator of the program. We're delighted to celebrate our Loft Gallery theme of Transference, with guest artists exhibiting their works in printmaking, an amazing process of transferring, which we will learn more about today. Sharon Putter, an instructor here at the Cultural Arts Center for 20 years, is our leader and artist in bringing together for us printmakers. Brian Burke, yes, Brian, hello. And Akancha and Minnie Lucas, so happy to have you. Sharon is known for her workscapes, a collection of her art creations from 2016 to the present. She draws from construction sites and the workers at the sites, viewed by the side of the road. Her mixed media art distills the fleeting narratives, bringing them into prominence. The resulting artwork shifts the viewer's perspective of nondescript and mundane events that they encounter in their own lives. I've told Sharon how I love to view the construction sites as works of art because of her. It's kept my commuting downtown amazing. Brian Burke shares that his professional odyssey, Brian, you want to stand up? Is one of the divergent paths as a Navy submarine officer, architect, urban designer, emerging artist. A connecting thread throughout has been the fascination with the varied landscapes he has experienced and a profound respect for the global environment. After studying engineering at the U.S. Naval Academy, he traveled by car from Annapolis to San Francisco Bay, the first of 6 such explorations of the North American landscape. During subsequent life at sea, he experienced navigating across the North Atlantic solely by sun and stars. He carried these explorations with him to the Harvard Graduate School of Design, and through nearly 50 years of architectural practice, exploring complex relationships between the built and the natural environment. He's now transitioning to the practice of making visual art to examine the built environment and stimulate our imaginations toward a more harmonious relationship with the earth. Awesome, Brian. Thank you. Minnie Lucas is a multimedia artist currently living and working here in Columbus. She just shared with me she graduated in 2020 at the Columbus College of Art and Design. She enjoys experimenting with mediums, materials, and learning new things about art, which is very therapeutic for her. It's her way to express herself and tell her story. And Minnie, we look forward to your telling us more about your story, like you're being a welcoming person at the museum. And as we often go to the museum, I'm going to look for you, huh? It's wonderful. Akancha Shubal, is a Canadian artist and designer whose passion lies in creative, artistic expression. Since childhood, art has been her constant companion, a space to explore the natural world and delve into the realms of imagination. Akancha is a Canadian artist and designer whose passion lies in creative, artistic expression. Since childhood, art has been her constant companion, She's exploring the natural world and delves into the realm of imagination. She desires to use her work as a tool, a gentle reminder to a world overwhelmed by chaos, to rediscover the beauty and wonder that surrounds us. The desire for impact is a driving force behind her choice of medium. Printmaker's inherent physicality resonates with her. The deliberate carving, the trust placed in tools, and the uncertainty of the final outcome compels her. The creation process becomes a humbling experience, one that yields unique and ever-evolving pieces, a testament to the beauty that lies in embracing the unknown. Isn't that well expressed? It is her expression as I read it. Wonderful. Profound. Thank you. Oksana. Okay. Now, Sharon is going to take over, and lead us into your world of printmaking and its beauty.
Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you here. Right into it. Okay. Welcome, welcome. So I'm guessing that you have a curiosity about printmaking if you came here today. And when we present our artwork, we'll discuss a few of the techniques that we have experienced and are taught here at the Cultural Arts Center. So I hope this will encourage you to take a class here one day. We have 3 instructors here. One is me, and there is Christine Abbott and Jennifer Brown, and they are amazing instructors, and I hope that you will take a class with one of us. I think, Kancha, you are with Christine, and Minnie, you are with Jennifer, and Brian is my student. So we have a sampling of some of the things that we do in each class. Right here is one of my own artworks. It is based on printmaking, but I use printmaking as a background, and which is part of a more complex composition. I add little pieces and little things that I find, and sometimes little etchings, and sometimes little pieces of glass. So it's hard to see here. So we'll soon go on to Brian, because I would like you to be able to see it up close, and we'll go for a little tour outside. And this Conversations in Coffee is mostly about the students. It's not about my work, but maybe if you...
I would like to ask that process, that beautiful process you described to me, how this happened from the plate to the...
I'm not always sure of the process. That's a good question, Ellen. Sometimes things happen. I think what is most important is to keep the inspiration in mind, and then have a lot of tools available, and then somehow it comes together.
It's amazing.
It's not something that I plan too much ahead of time. So what I'd like to do right now is maybe invite Brian to talk about your artwork, and I will have the slides up so that you can actually have something to refer to. So here I'm giving the mic to Brian Burke. Good to see you.
Thanks, Sharon. I'd like to say thanks to the Cultural Arts Center. I'm new to Columbus, moved here a little over 2 years ago, and about a year ago I got acquainted with the Cultural Arts Center and started taking classes. Took a little class in bookmaking, and then in the last fall started taking printmaking classes with Sharon. And in our first class with Sharon, everybody was strangers, of course. There were 8 or 10 of us, and she asked for us to give our name and just a little bit about ourselves, and so I gave a capsulized version of what you just heard, and said that I was looking, and I hadn't really thought about this, but I heard myself saying that I was looking for a less combative process than professional pursuit of architecture. Something that could still address the built environment, and couple that with some of the amazing things that are going on in Columbus. It's astounding what's happening. We live kind of at the northeast corner of Italian Village, and there are probably 3/4 of every building in sight are new since we moved there 2 years ago. And they're all multi-story, multi-unit housing projects. And I started going to the Planning Commission community meetings, and they warned us of a tsunami of people coming to Columbus. So it's really fertile ground. And thanks to Sharon, I'm finding ways to try to understand it, explore it, and communicate it.
Tell us about the work you have here.
Oh, okay.
How does this happen in terms of printmaking?
The
work that's projected here.
Could we see it better if the lights were off?
Okay. Well, I'm discovering that taking art classes, as opposed to things like thermodynamics and differential equations and all of the things that you take in an engineering curriculum, it's much more based on instinct and intuition. And that's how Sharon teaches. And so the question of how does it happen and how long does it take varies with every attempt. I think this is a transfer print that was inspired by a fellow student who had taken trips to Havana and done a lot of wonderful photography. And so, and she happened to be interested in transfer prints. I had done transfer prints many years ago. When I met my wife, Beverly, she decided to take me on a test drive, which consisted of a 300-mile supported bike trip across the state of Oregon, from the Idaho border to the to the Pacific Ocean. And in it, during that trip, I kept a sketchbook. Purposely didn't take a camera, and it was an 80-page small sketchbook, and I was determined to fill it in 7 days while riding a bike. We were going between 50 and 100 miles a day, but frequent water stops, and so I developed a facility for sketching the landscape very fast. And when I got back, I read somewhere about Xerox transfer prints, which dates me. That was a long time ago. I'm not even sure what the technology is, but we used Xerox copies made from a Xerox machine of sketches, colored and reversed. and then used this horrible solvent called toluene, I think. It's one of the components of dynamite. And made beautiful transfer prints of 5 sketches. And hadn't done any printmaking since. And I think these transfer prints were sometime during the winter. I think, are they all 3 in a row? Yes. Yeah. This one was just an exploration of the colors of Havana, colors of Cuba, and a first attempt at a process called chincolé that just layers colored paper and then runs it through a printing process that helps to both adhere the paper and print an image over the top. So this was one of the things that you had to be a little careful about, the ubiquitous problem of registration. How about the next slide? So this one I sent to my brother for his birthday, and he quickly came back and said, "Oh, that's a '59 Buick LeSabre." So I had connected on 2 levels. One, he had just been to Havana, and 2, he has a lifelong interest in cars and can spot name, year, model going down the highway. But all of these transfer prints are very quick, to try to answer your question. But the difference was, from my previous experience, was that Sharon is very concerned about using non-toxic materials. And so we were using lavender oil as the agent to transfer inkjet digital prints of photographs onto print paper using lavender oil. And of course a printing press.
Anyone have any questions about this process and how it's happening?
Is something dissolving the ink from one print and then sticking that on the other paper?
Yes. That's essentially, yes, that's how it works. Yeah.
So your 80-page notebook that you took with you on your bike ride, have you done any transfer from those?
No, but it would be an interesting experiment, and comparing the results, both black and white. And I have done some digital copies of other sketchbook sketches. One of my habits professionally was whenever I took on a project, I would keep a sketchbook devoted to that project and just fill it with visual references and help the design emerge out of that. So I have shelves of sketchbooks. The difficulty would be choosing. Yeah.
So the process of that from beginning to end is you had a picture, a photograph, then you copied it on a machine.
I think I did all 3 of those in one 3-hour session.
Okay, name those 3 things.
Yeah, like step 1, step 2, step 3.
Not sure I can. I may need some help here. But first, acquiring the image. You can take an image into Photoshop and manipulate the image in digital form, and then print it out. And the 2 things to remember are an inkjet printer Is that right? Inkjet or inkjet? Laser printer. Yeah. Laser printer and reversing the,
So reverse it before you print it, or?
reverse it in the printing process. Yeah, you just do that with
So
it.
your picture on the computer was reverse of that?
No, the reverses itself when you print it because it's a contact print. So you lay the image face down on the print paper, and then put the lavender oil on the back, and the lavender oil sinks in and drives the laser printer output into the print paper, and then you run it through the press to make sure that it gets all transferred.
That's the title. Transference, huh?
Yes,
That's wonderful, wonderful.
yeah, it works on a lot of levels.
The red in the picture, when did that happen? Did you
That was part of the picture.
so that the color
And
was-
it's really interesting if you do multiple prints, like you just put some more lavender oil on the same back and run it through the printer again, a different color will come out. If you look closely, you can see the building on the left has a slight blue tint to it. The one in the middle, or the two in the middle, the one on the left of middle has a kind of a terracotta. The next one is blue. The first one might be green. Because all of the images all the colors in the image are made up of multiple colors. So, and there's something about the process that drives one color over the other. And so this one, fortunately, and this is the wonderful thing about printing is that you get these surprises when you run it through the press. I mean, the process has a mind of its own.
Is this a good time for Minnie to follow you? Oh, there are two more.
Sure.
Huh? There are two more.
I'll try to be
Oh,
quick.
two more. Oh,
I'll try to be
okay.
quick. This is a dry point, and it's on the sort of aluminum coating on the inside of a liquid container, like box soups, or yeah, half and half. Show them the other side. Yeah.
Some have aluminum inside, it's a different.
Yeah. And then you incise an image into that coating, which makes a depression on the plate. And then when you ink that, you put ink on it and then wipe the ink off the top of the portion that hasn't been incised. And then you can actually see the image. Once again, it reverses the image. So this was drawn the other way.
So the ink on the paper is the ink that was inside the incised areas.
Yes, and so you wet the paper and place it on the plate, and then again run it through the press. And the press actually pushes the paper down into the incisions and picks up the ink. And so there is a slight texture to the final print. You can feel the sort of the raised ink portions. This one was a drawing done from, the original was a drawing done from a photograph. This one is a block reduction print. A block reduction print. And I'll try to be quick about this, but this one took me weeks to do because you have to do it in layers. And so I carved away the cattails in this lower right corner on the linoleum block and then printed it. And Sharon said, oh, you probably should do a set of 10. So I ran about 15, I think, to make sure I could get 10 good ones. And so I would run it and it would just be, well, I carved away the cattails and the ripples in the water. And then I did a roll of color that's, Sharon informed me it's called a rainbow roll. And so you put ink on a surface, and I put a band of the blue, a band of the green, and a little bit of white in the middle. And then I took a roller or a brayer and ran it across until I got a blend. And then I put that on I rolled that onto the linoleum and then printed it. So all it was the background and the cattails. Then I carved away, actually I kind of deviated from the pure reduction process so that I wouldn't have to carve away all that blue and all that green to get to the islands. So I cut the islands out in little rectangles and then put the color on those, put them back in the block, printed my 15 copies, and then so on. The bird actually has a purple layer and then a black layer on top, and I had to figure out how to get the red and yellow into the wings. So I have a block with me, actually, I can show you after we get finished. But this one just took forever. Sharon said, when I started, she said, well, it'll be a challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
so
did
much.
you have a question?
Oh, yes,
Ladies
Brian.
next.
I just have one question for you, Brian.
Oh. Yes.
Thank you for sharing with us your wonderful art prints. I was just curious about the processing of the oils, the lavender oil. Is there a particular brand that you use, or are you guys mixing up your own?
There was a one, buy one, get one off at Myers, so I ran over there.
Oh, it's just a regular brand that you can buy at the...
Yeah, you can buy it.
Wow, I
But
really
you
like
do
that.
need a printmaking press.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Minnie Milkus, come forward.
So this past year, I have been creating a lot of art about my childhood trauma to help me heal. My parents were very narcissistic and verbally abusive, and they forced me to do a lot of things I didn't want to do, and I was forced to show chickens growing up, and I was forced to think a certain way, But yeah, so this is actually a photo of my dad. I stole it from my mother's Facebook page, and this is actually a stress dream that I had. I was working on another piece, another series at the time, where and I kept having these dreams of him like screaming at me like he did when I was a child, and so I added I collaged over the eyes and the mouth because I didn't want to see his face, and I like made his eyes really big because he would used to like look down at me with these big eyes like they're gonna pop out of his head, and yeah, and the background is actually a jelly roll print. I use acrylic paint because you can actually layer a lot of different types of paint over it, and I want to make it look really grungy. Yeah, that piece is actually on the table there if you want to pass it around. Yeah. Okay. This piece, it's actually in the hallway out there. So, last year I discovered that I had PTSD. And it was also the first year I decided not to acknowledge Father's Day, and I was really nervous about it. But I knew I needed to do it. So, but that night I had a horrible stress dream where I felt so frazzled the next day. And when I got back, I actually decided to take this photo of myself because I wanted to capture it, how I was feeling, because I knew I wanted to make art about this. And when the photo I took, actually, my hair was very frizzy and all over the place, and I knew I couldn't cut that out, obviously, in the photo. So I actually took like a marker and a Sharpie, and I actually just drew it back in. And the background is also another jelly roll plate. And it's also acrylic paint, and I glued the photo on with I think it was called wheat paste. That's why there's like a powdery look over it. So this piece is actually that's also on the table there if you want to pass that around too. It's a part of a series where I was thinking for years I've been wanting to like tell my younger self stuff and inspirational stuff, and I finally decided to do a whole series about it just to help get it off my mind. But this is a photo when I was like 13, and this whole series I used my childhood photos for it, and I added a mask over my face because at the time when all these photos were taken, I was masking, meaning that I was pretending to be okay when I wasn't, and I was just going with the flow of things just to help make my parents happy. And a lot of people thought I was okay. So the background is another jelly print, and I actually, this is actually a ghost print actually of the original one. The original one I put the acrylic paint on, then I took like my fingernails and I kind of like scratched on the paint, and then I pulled it up, and this was the second one I pulled up too, and so that's why it's not as colorful in the background, but yeah. But yeah, it's really important to me to share my story because I want it to help others with their process and their trauma and healing. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions, reflections?
Yes, here.
So,
You want
you-
to take this for?
You just painted that on, or is that scratch?
So a
you-
jelly print is, so it's like a plate that is basically made of like some sort of jelly material. It's like kind of like Jello. And so I took the acrylic paint and I just rolled it on the plate and I just kind of scratched it on there with my nails, just leaving a dent in the paint. And then I put a piece of paper on it and I pulled it off. So it would like so it would have like that effect on it that I did on the plate.
Figure is painted.
No, this is a photo that I collaged over top of it. Yeah, that's me when I was 13.
How did you get the wording into it then? Was it that same with the jelly roll?
So that I actually wrote down everything on paper and I smeared it with my finger on a separate piece of paper, I should say, and then I collaged it over top of it.
Thank you, Minnie.
Yeah.
Sharing the story. Ah, gotcha.
Hi, everyone. Oh, is this close enough? Yes, perfect. So I guess unlike Christine likes to teach in class, I like to not have any plan at all. And I also don't really like to draw and then transfer on. So like the process of making, this is a linoleum print. It can also be done on rubber or easy carve. So what you do, take tracing paper and then you can sketch something out. You can erase it, sketch it again until you find it to be as per your liking, and then you rub it on. So you have something there before you end up going for the carve. So I guess what I like to do is not do that at all. I just like to make a general outline of what I want to be there and then kind of let the carving tools guide me. So this piece is actually inspired by my travels to Scotland. I love traveling. I've lived in 6 countries so far, and being new to Columbus, also just shout out to the Cultural Arts Center. It has been amazing. It's hard to move somewhere new as an adult and not have any friends or have any community, and just finding a place where you can do something other than just have a drink or eat food with people and connect to community was really wonderful. So while traveling to Scotland, there's so much mythology and so much culture that I honestly wasn't aware of. And people love the Loch Ness Monster. They love the Loch Ness and such rich culture. So I thought I really love the way that the stone carvings in Scotland are, and from, I don't know, like 1200. They're so old and so majestic, so I thought I could make a fossil, more like stone carving, but fossil. So I made a general outline of what this fossil would look like, and I just let the carving tools guide what it would look like. And I like the way that it looks like kind of the opposite of a fossil, but an impression of a fossil, but at the same time you know that it is a fossil.
What happens if you make a mistake?
Well, you just have to embrace the mistake. You can't fix it. I really love that about printmaking, that you can just you have to embrace your mistake. There's no erasing. I mean, there are ways to kind of go back and try to fix it or fill it in, but it's just nice to not know what it's going to look like and then just embrace the output. Any questions about this piece?
Any mistakes in it?
Yeah, there are many mistakes, but
Oh, Brian, you got a question there?
Yeah, I'm curious about your carving technique, and is each of the vertebrae, let's say, one move with a carving?
oh no,
Or is it
many moves.
So each segment.
Yes. So what happened here is these small ones are one movement each, and then I basically had to, the vertebrae are very deep, because if you make them shallow, then they'll show up when you do the actual printmaking. Oh yes, I can pass it around here. I stole it from outside, but this is the one that's outside, and if you can see, this took a very, very long time, very tedious, but definitely worth it. Oh.
So you said that Scotland was your last place that you visited?
Yes.
And this is where you got this idea from?
Yes, the inspiration.
All right.
Yeah, all of the stone carvings in Scotland, and also their historical museums have a lot of really interesting. They have peat there, peat bogs, and they basically preserve very old fossils very well. I actually found some fossils. I brought them home.
So have you done anything else from other places that you've been?
Yeah, I think all of my art is kind of inspired from everywhere that I've been. Here. I think this is also on the next slide, but I guess just. Really? Oh. Well, I have another one here that I can show, but I guess just traveling so much as a child, moving around so much. I think the longest I lived in one place was around 2 years. It just kind of put a more wandering bones in my body. I guess my parents are to thank for that. So I just love traveling, and just traveling inspires me. Much like your story, I have a sketchbook, and it's everywhere I go, I just like to sketch and find inspiration from things around me, like just piecemeal, and then come back together and think about what I can make from it.
You're going to hold that one up for us? The one
Oh, yes, yes. I thought it was in the email, but. Oh. Well, this is another one. I guess we don't have it on the projection, but if you can see it, I can also pass it around. This one is a bit different. Just the chaos that's been going on recently, I felt like I wanted to remind myself and the women in my life, or female presenting folks in my life, that I really wanted to find solace within, and also unity with a bit of community. Just, I guess, divine feminine energy in a way is the embodiment of this piece here. And just, I feel like now is a good time to remember feminism, and that women have choice over their own bodies. And I just sent it to, I made 40 copies of this and sent it to all of the women that I know in my life. And I guess they're all hanging it up, and hopefully it will help them. And some of the inspirations from this are just also I guess I don't believe fully in tarot, but I do like the visual imagery, and this is an inspiration from the Star Tarot card. In the tarot card, she's bending down, but I thought that was not a good representation. I felt like she needed to be in the middle. And my background is Indian and Canadian. I grew up in South Africa and Canada, so a little bit of more like spiritual, mystical element to this one. I'll pass it around.
Is that green?
Yes, it is.
Make it green.
How did you use it? It was just the ink that you used?
Yes, I mix the inks.
Only the stone carving or the wood carving?
I do.
You want to repeat that so everybody can hear?
Stone carving or wood carving? What did you do?
Yeah, so this one is a linoleum carving. The one that I'm passing around is also linoleum carving, but I have done woodcut carving, but it's hard to get some details with wood because of the wood grain, and if you mess up, then the entire wood chip just like flings off.
Oh, Enchanta, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shall you, and, well, lead us, Sharon, into the beautiful trance
gallery, and we can gaze at the work in the gallery, and enjoy the work you have as well as other works as well. Thank you. Professor Instructor Sharon, let's give her a special.
If anyone has any questions about the artwork, just let me know and I will try to guess what technique they use, because I can't always tell.
What was the technique for that?
This looks like a monotype print, that one-of-a-kind print where you manipulate ink on a surface, for example, a plexiglass surface, and you take away ink where you want it to be lighter, and you add ink where you want it to be darker. So it's a more painterly quality, and then it's a one-of-a-kind, so you print it using the printmaking press, and this is the result. You don't really have control, which is really fun thing to happen, where you have an idea and you try to create something, but in the end it's a little bit up to luck, or it's how would you say, the gods of the press. Over there we have a wall that has student work that has not been framed, but it's just artwork that you can take a look at different things that people have experienced and tried. Experimentation wall, we call it. So I will bring out a box with more prints if you're interested in browsing, and a few of the plates that we have, that we work with, and some tools.
This is my piece here. This is the piece I did of how I was feeling last year after Father's Day. I collaged this photo over it, this jelly print, and yeah.
To that you learned at the Columbus College of Art Design. What classes did you enjoy?
Well, I have a photography degree, so I took this photo at home at that night, and yeah. Yeah. I try to incorporate my photography of my printmaking, and yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Do you expect to use art in your for life? Like, are you going to be an artist for life?
Yes. Yeah, I love art. Very passionate. I love learning about art. I love learning as much as I can about it. Yeah, I'm really
Part of it, like when I was listening to your story earlier, it's about art is a healing tool, is a coping tool. Mm-hmm. Do you think that you'll be doing workshops or things like that to be able to share with people out there to be able to utilize it for trauma, like you were saying? Do you see yourself doing that?
Yeah, that would actually be really. Yeah, I would be interested in that. Yeah.
Like I was talking to you earlier, I think it takes courage, and it takes inner strength to be able to use your art and be able to get up there and speak and talk about it being trauma. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
I tick the boxes off to those that's willing to share themselves openly like you do through your art and through speaking. So tēnā koe. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Show us your work.
My work is over here.
All right, lead us on.
Perfect. This is the piece that I was showing earlier, if you recognize it. So this is the same piece. And one thing I did not add about this piece is that it's printed on Japanese rice paper that's been, so it already has a Japanese woodblock print in the back, and it has gold leaf in it. So I thought it really added some dimension to the print. and my other print is just over here.
It's either on the surface and it's called a relief, or it's etching and then it's called Italian.
Oh.
This was pretty amazing.
So this is my print over here, and as I discussed earlier, it's a linoleum print. And I just didn't really have any idea of what it would be like, and I just let the carving tools guide me on this one.
So wait till he comes over.
So this print is an impression from a walk I took during the pandemic. We went out to the quarry that is now a quarry park here in Columbus, and I manipulated the background using a technique we haven't really discussed before. It's called a colograph, where you take parts of plates and you ink each one up separately, and you kind of combine it all together. You have an opportunity to work a little bit more with the composition, and you print them all at one time. What I find, well, one of the things that I find most amazing about printmaking is there are so many techniques that you can really have such a expression, you know. So there's, you know, if you see how everyone here has done something else, I think that's for me, that's the charm of the printmaking process. So here I added, we talked a little bit about chincole. There are very small little machinery here and a little person here that were etched beforehand, but then they were attached. So it's not really chincole, it's kind of a take on chincole, it's more like collage. And then I add some enameled work into my artwork.
Oh.
So, yeah, and if you want to see more about the artwork, I'm going to have a show at the McConnell in November. So you'll be able to come and see a lot more artwork. Yeah, I hope you can make it out. So
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thanks everyone for being here. Great. Chunk, Minnie, Brian.